afternoon. A very warm welcome to this special. It's Delhi Capitals versus Kolkata Knight Riders tonight. And the news from the Wankhede Stadium is that Delhi Capitals have won the toss. And Rishabh Pant at the toss choosing to bowl first. That's right. Rishabh Pant saying at the toss that Dew might play a role later on, doesn't want to take a chance and has decided to bowl first. There are two changes for the Delhi team. Khalil Ahmed, he is out with an injury. He's pulled his hamstring, and Sarfaraz Khan, we've been talking about this, Nikhil Sarfaraz Khan is out. Mitchell Marsh comes in after sitting out because of COVID. So that's good news. And Chetan Sakaria is in for Khalil Ahmed. So that's the playing 11 for the Delhi Capitals. The news from the Wankhede Stadium is that Delhi Capitals have won the toss and they have opted to field first. Shreyas Iyer at the toss also saying that they would have looked to bowl as well because of the chasing history, which is correct as well. And then they've got three changes. Baba INDRAJITH, he comes in. Aaron Finch comes in. And Himanshu Rana, they have come in. He also talked about how their combination haven't worked for them and that they are trying to find a settled combination. We have to win 6 and 6 now to qualify. And this is now getting to the business end of the tournament. Both these teams right now lying at the bottom of the table, just above Mumbai Indians and Chennai Super Kings. So they'd want to win tonight. And for Kolkata Knight Riders, their series of loss, in fact, started with losing to Delhi Capitals the last time they played them. Delhi would look to put all the things that have happened, the distractions of COVID, the no ball controversy behind, and would look to win tonight. Nikhil, an important game for both these teams.
A very important game. They need to win this game to get into the reckoning of being in the top 4. A loss for either team, especially for KKR, would mean they will languish in the bottom 3 with MI and CSK. Interesting changes. Khalil Ahmed is a big loss, but Chetan Sakaria impressed for the Royals. He made his India debut in Sri Lanka last year. So Chetan Sakaria is a talented replacement. Mitchell Marsh is back, right?
Yes.
Mitchell Marsh is back. Player of the final in the World T20.
Yes.
A very a highly talented all-rounder from Australia. KKR had to make changes, good changes from DC. Both the teams looking for a win. A contest between DC's top order and KKR's bowling for me. And a must-win win almost for both the units.
Okay, let's take a look at Delhi Capitals playing 11 before we get any further into the show. Now, that's where the consistency is. The top order, Prithvi Shaw, David Warner scoring runs consistently. Mitchell Marsh is just adding to that. Sarfaraz Khan was under pressure. Nikhil, we talked about it earlier as well. Hadn't got runs. Then there is Lalit Yadav in patches of finished the games for them. Ravman Powell, he'll always be remembered for those 3 sixes and what could have been if that had been a no ball, in fact. Then there is Akshar Patel. Again, a curious case with Akshar Patel because he's not been getting the wickets. His economy is okay, but just not getting the wickets. There's Shardul Thakur, not the most impressive. Kuldeep Yadav and Khalil Ahmed were the standout performers, but Khalil Ahmed sits out because of an injury, hamstring injury. Now, Kuldeep Yadav, in the last game that he played against them, got 4 wickets, former team. Water under the bridge or no? But because you'd expect him to bowl well against his former team.
I mean, there is not only water under the bridge, there are many things under the bridge. I mean, Kuldeep Yadav, the way he was treated by KKR, and let's not mince words here, yes, his form had dipped. His form had dipped for India. His form had dipped for KKR. But the way he was treated, I think one can expect Kuldeep Yadav to raise his game again today against his former team. But a little disappointed. We don't in this team. We don't have Andrek Nokia. He was warming up. So I'm a little disappointed that maybe they didn't want to make too many changes. Maybe they just want to assess one more match before getting him back. Chetan Sakaria is a great inclusion, a like-for-like replacement for Khalil Ahmed. Which means they have 2 left armers now, which makes it interesting. Batting lineup also gets, there is less pressure on Rishabh Pant with Mitchell Marsh coming in.
Yeah, that's true. And Mitchell Marsh, I mean, I think again, COVID, just unfortunate to see Tim Seifert and Mitchell Marsh and the uncertainty around. I remember having conversations with with sources in Delhi Capital saying that, things are quite bleak at the time because they didn't know whether the match would go on. They didn't know how many were coming positive. So good for them to see that Mitchell Marsh, in fact, he is back. But now let's also take a look at Kolkata Knight Riders playing 11, Nikhil. And in complete contrast to Delhi, it's their top order that hasn't been settled. The top order has, there's been chopping and changing, but no one's been able to grab those two positions. And I think that's where the problem is. Venkatesh Iyer not being in form, a huge worry for them. And then, of course, too much dependence undoubtedly on Andre Russell, who's been performing really well. But then again, it's not a one-man game. Some of the others need to put their hand up, the likes of Nitish Rana. Now, Baba Indrajith's come in. And Shreyas Iyer has been performing. But again, consistency from their batting, that's of utmost importance if they want to get to, anywhere between the top four. In that points table.
Absolutely, Meha. They have tried 4 different opening combinations in the last 4 matches. And, if you do that, the team will be unsettled. No one knows their batting position or role. Venkatesh Iyer has been a big disappointment this year. He was the opener last season. He was the reason, he transformed their batting unit last season when they made it to the final, especially in the second half. He was the second highest scorer only after Ruturaj Gaikwad. But, Venkatesh Iyer was not getting runs at the start of the tournament. They pushed him down the order, but it hasn't worked. They need to push Venkatesh back to opening, let him open with Aaron Finch. Baba Indrajith is a decent inclusion. He's more of a, he's a technically correct batsman. He has an average of 54 in first class cricket. He has a very good average in list A cricket.
Yeah.
But his T20 credentials are not that strong. But I guess they had to try someone new given that they had lost their last 4 matches. Overall, I think they need more. Venkatesh Iyer needs to perform. Shreyas Iyer also needs a settled batting position. And the bowling needs to deliver now. Varun Chakravarti, he's been absolutely, it's been a shocking tournament for him after being the highest wicket taker last season.
Yes.
Andre Russell has been excellent. He is back, but there's a lot of pressure on him. Also, the batting role for Sunil Narine needs to be defined.
Yes.
He's sometimes opening, he's sometimes at 3, sometimes in the lower middle order. So Sunil Narine, he is talented, but they need to define a role for him in the team.
That's right. So let's take a look at the head-to-head now for the two teams, the Kolkata Knight Riders and Delhi Capitals. Kolkata Knight Riders, slight advantage in that they have won 16 out of the 25 matches. DC having won only 13, but since 2020, it's even Stevens for both these teams, having won 3 matches each. Now, also for Kolkata Knight Riders, as Nikhil mentioned, on downward spiral, having lost 4 matches on the trot. How much of a difference would that make in terms of confidence, collective confidence of the team? Like we said, 3 of the first 4 matches were won by Kolkata Knight Riders. Then they've lost 4 on the trot. And like Nikhil and I were talking about this, it started with the loss against Delhi Capitals in their first match. And then now, this is the second leg. How will they play? That's crucial, that they need to play well. Also, the worst economy in power play, Venkatesh Iyer, we've seen just struggling with his form. Bowling has been a problem. Pat Cummins his economy rate's been above 12. So, a lot of problems for Kolkata Knight Riders, but we'll discuss Delhi's performance now. Also, take a look at how inconsistent Delhi have been, and then let's talk about that, Nikhil. Delhi as well, Shaw and Warner have been very consistent.
Correct.
But it's the middle order that needs more runs.
Absolutely. Shaw and Warner have been perhaps the best opening pair in the tournament, the most destructive opening pair, 4 high-impact partnership, 50-plus partnership at a run rate of 10.78. Absolutely sensational, Shaw and Warner, but not much afterwards. Rishabh Pant has been decent, but I would say Rishabh Pant has already given 60 to 70% of what Pant can contribute. Look at the average of the rest of the lineup. Average of 21 and strike rate of 135. And we are talking essentially of lower order batsmen. The strike rate is poor. They haven't made many runs. Kuldeep Yadav, yes, the standout bowler. He is back. 13 wickets, a strike rate of 12.3. Fizz hasn't picked wickets, but he's been decently restrictive. but overall, I think what their bowling lacks, and I was looking at their lineup, their team contingent, they don't have a quality, high-class Indian pacer. I think their bowling misses that. So overall, Khalil Ahmed has been good, but he's out of the team. Out of this match. Chetan Sakaria is a good inclusion. Akshar Patel has been a very big disappointment. Look, Akshar Patel was DC's unsung hero in the last couple of seasons. He used to pick 16 wickets in every season and did not concede more than 7.5, but only 3 wickets in 7 matches. So Akshar Patel, I mean, maybe it's just a dip in form. It happens to everyone, but he's not picking wickets in the middle overs, not controlling the game in the middle overs. A big problem for them.
Also, I'm wondering with Delhi, you look at all their bowlers, they've not got wickets. Wicket taking has been a problem with Delhi Capitals in the tournament.
That's because, I mean, the bowler who's supposed to be the #1 wicket taker, Anrik Nokia, he's not playing. I mean, he has a niggle. He's not been playing, and a lot of hope, when they let go of Rabada, when they let go of a bowler like Rabada, a lot of hope, was pinned on Anrik Nokia, and he's not been playing. So it's a massive loss for them. So all the pressure of taking wickets is on Kuldeep Yadav.
And I'm wondering why Anrik Nokia is not playing today, or is it injury? They haven't really informed us about why that is, because he did come and play one game, wasn't the most impressive, looked rusty, but since then he's sat out. Is his injury not okay? So there's not much information on that, but very curious to know why Anrik Nokia, after retaining him, why would they not want to play him? Okay, then that's Delhi Capitals. Consistent in the top order, like Nikhil and I have been saying, but it's the middle order that'll need the runs. Now, for all of you who are joining us now, the news from the Wankhede Stadium is that the toss has been won by Delhi Capitals. Rishabh Pant has opted to bowl first. Shreyas Iyer at the toss also expressing his desire to bowl first, and he won the toss. Like we said, Kolkata Knight Riders have been put into bat. Changes for the two teams. Take a look at that. Kolkata Knight Riders have dropped Varun Chakravarti. They've made 3 changes to their playing 11. Delhi Capitals have given a break to Chetan Sakaria. It's a forced one though, because Khalil Ahmed, he's out with an injury, with a hamstring injury. So that's the news. Also, Mitchell Marsh, he's back in the playing 11 after COVID. So he's okay now. So he's in the playing 11. Now that's the news from the Wankhede Stadium. Now let's also talk about the X Factor players before we get to the conditions and what we can expect at the Wankhede Stadium. The X Factor players has to be for Delhi Capitals, Prithvi Shaw. How good has he been, Nikhil, in this tournament? Consistent, scoring runs, repaying the faith put in by the team management for retaining him.
Absolutely. He's carrying on from where he left in the last IPL. He had scored 400 runs at a strike rate of 150 plus in the previous season. He was in brilliant form, breaking all sorts of records in the Vijay Hazare Trophy. And I was almost sure that he'll break into the Indian team, but for various reasons, fitness being one, he did not make it into Indian 11. But, look, he's one of the most destructive batsmen, if not the most destructive Indian batsman in the IPL. Yeah. His strike rate as an opener is amongst the highest in IPL history, with Watson, Butler, Chris Gale, he's Surendra Sehwag. So his name is spoken with all those great players. His strike rate overall in the IPL is amongst the highest. His strike rate in this tournament in the power play is only second to David Warner. It's higher than Josh Butler also. Imagine, and Josh Butler has broken all sorts of records. So, Prithvi Shaw does, very similar to what his idol Virendra Sehwag used to do. Give those quick starts. Even if you don't score a 70, 80 or 100, you give those 30, you score 30 and 40 in 15, 20 deliveries, strike rate of 200. The team gets a momentum. It gets a platform to build a big score, and that's what he's doing consistently, which makes him a very, very dangerous batsman.
That's right. So that's Prithvi Shaw. Then let's move on to Kolkata Knight Riders and the X Factor player from Kolkata Knight Riders has to be Andre Russell. Just doing everything that we expect from Andre Russell. He's been taking wickets, he's been striking at 180, 227 runs there. Every time Andre Russell takes the field, all his fans, Kolkata Knight Rider fans, hope and pray that he doesn't get injured. So far, he has been phenomenal for them.
Absolutely. Look at the strike rate in death overs, 209, the highest strike rate in IPL history. I mean, that says something. For me, the most destructive finisher, probably limited overs history. Hasn't done justice to his international talent, various problems with the West Indies, but just what he did for KKR in 2019, scoring those 500 runs at a strike rate of 200 plus, is one of the most sensational performances in a single season by any batsman. That's right. Andre Russell, he's shown one in a couple of innings this season already. One, he single-handedly won the match for KKR. Another great all-round performance where they lost. But he still has it in him. Maybe with not so the consistency he showed in 2019, but he still has it in him to win matches single-handedly for KKR. Even if he does 1 in 4, I think it is good enough.
Okay, so those are the X-factor players. Now, what are the key battles that one can expect? The key battle, number one, has to be David Warner versus Tim Southee. That's an important contest right at the top. You look at that, Nikhil, and this is completely in favor of David Warner.
And this is quite a shocking head-to-head if you see. 52 balls, 101 striking at almost 200, not been even dismissed once. And these are numbers from all T20 cricket. So it includes international T20 cricket also. So Southee has been, one of 8 wickets, 3 matches, economy rate of just 6.66 in the tournament. Warner has also been in great form. This Trans-Tasman rivalry could be very interesting in the power play.
Okay, so that's the first rivalry. The first key battle we're looking forward to. What about in the middle overs? It has to be Shreyas Iyer versus Akshar Patel again. 4 innings. Now look at that. 24 balls, 40 runs, 167 is the strike rate and has been dismissed once, Nikhil.
I'm not surprised because Shreyas Iyer is, by far the best player of spin bowling amongst Indian batsmen. Where some stalwarts like Virat Kohli and all have been struggling against spin. Shreyas Iyer, the way he uses his speed, is one of the best players of any spin bowling amongst Indian batsmen, and therefore that record is not surprising. Shreyas needs a big score. Akshar is not in the best of forms, although he had a decent last match. He had a decent last match, picked up a couple of wickets, didn't concede many runs. So it's going to be an interesting battle between Shreyas and Akshar Patel.
Okay, then in the death overs, it is Rovman Powell versus Nareen. Now this is incredible, these numbers. 8 innings, 40 runs. 40 balls, just 22 runs have been scored. The moment Rovman Powell comes in, Nareen will be brought in because teams today see all these matchups. We've seen what has happened in the matches earlier. The one, in, which was it? Vanindu Hasaranga versus Sanju Samson.
Correct.
And Vanindu Hasaranga had the better of Sanju Samson
for the fifth time. Absolutely.
So this is again a very good matchup.
And these are two players from the Caribbean who know each other's game very well. I mean, clearly these numbers are from the Caribbean Premier League, most of these numbers. And Nareen has had a wood over Powell. So it's going to be interesting because Powell, he seems to be very confident. He thinks he can hit 6 sixes and win you matches. But Nareen is one of the greatest bowlers, greatest spinners in IPL history. So a fascinating battle of wits in the middle overs.
Okay, for all of you who are just joining us now, quickly we'll take you through what has happened from Wankhede Stadium. The toss has been won by Rishabh Pant of Delhi Capitals. He's opted to field first. That's the news from the Wankhede Stadium. They are using, in fact, the same pitch from last night's game. The game between Gujarat Titans and Sunrisers Hyderabad that Gujarat Titans won on the last ball thriller. Yes, that's the same pitch that's being used. Delhi Capitals, like I said, they've won the toss. They have put KKR into bat. Kolkata Knight Riders have dropped Varun Chakravarti. 3 changes for them in the playing 11. We'll also look at the playing 11 in a bit, but Delhi Capitals, they have got in Chetan Sakaria. They have Khalil Ahmed sits out because of a hamstring injury. Mitchell Marsh has come back after he had COVID, so he's recovered from COVID. He is back. Then there's the playing 11 for you, and this was important because you look at this team and you realize that Mitchell Marsh only adds to what is a slightly weak middle order. So, you know, and they've struggled with this. First, they didn't have David Warner, then he came in, Mitchell Marsh, then once he came, they didn't have him as well. Then once he came, he got COVID. So Mitchell Marsh hasn't even got as many games.
Absolutely. Now, potentially they have a very good top four, and Mitchell Marsh inclusion only boosts their batting unit. So less pressure on the lower order. Chetan Sakaria is again, he had a great season with RR last season. As we said, he's a good replacement for Khalil Ahmed. I'm a little surprised that Andrik Nokia is not playing, but this seems to be a better 11 for DC than the previous match.
What about the fact that even their death bowling is a problem? Mostly it is on Mustafizur Rahman, who's been bowling well, but again hasn't been among the wickets, has been expensive at times has been very good. Again, that same inconsistent word that we use, and that they're missing Andrik Nokia. But in Andrik Nokia's absence, Mustafizur Rahman, for what he can do, he's doing the job.
Absolutely. You know, Fiz has been good, Mustafizur has been good, but I think Khalil was their #1 bowler in the death overs, and I think his absence will be severely missed. He will be severely missed in this match. Sakaria is a very good bowler, but you know, I don't know, pressure match, first match, how will he bowl in the death overs? It's going to be interesting.
Okay, now what do you think? Who are you supporting? Do let us know in the comment section below. We're live on Facebook as well as on YouTube, so wherever you're watching, put that down in the comment section below, and we take your comments. Which is the team you're supporting? Do you think Shreyas Iyer will score another 50 tonight? Will Shreyas Iyer do that against his former team? Kuldeep Yadav, can he take 4 wickets again? Who will win tonight? Let us know what you are thinking. There are a lot of you who are saying Mustafizur will bowl well. A lot of Mustafizur Rahman's fans here on Facebook, at least, Nikhil. But just coming back now to the key battles. We've already talked about Robman Powell versus Sunil Narine. Now the other one that involves Mustafizur is Andre Russell versus Mustafizur.
And very interestingly, again, you know, this battle, if you see overall, it's been a mixed bag. 9 innings, 3 dismissals, but then, you know, Russell has also taken Mustafizur for runs. And, you know, most of these runs have been in the, you know, death overs. So this Russell, in the form he is, and Mustafizur, although he hasn't taken many wickets, with his experience for Bangladesh and one of the best bowlers in the death overs, this promises to be, you know, a fascinating battle between overs 17 and 20.
So that's the other key battle between Andre Russell and Mustafizur. Then now, let's also talk a little bit about what we can expect from the Wankhede Stadium. I've already said it's the same pitch that was used last night in the game between Gujarat Titans and Sunrisers Hyderabad. But interestingly, Nikhil, first 4 matches, all advantage to teams chasing. Since then, things have changed. In the last 6 matches, 5 have been won by teams batting first. And of course, last night's game was won by the team chasing. And at the last ball, at the last minute, they won that match. So interesting choice of Rishabh Pant wanting to chase here.
Absolutely. And also interesting is the fact, along with the batting first, you know, chasing trend changing, that batting first has an advantage now. The average score batting first last 5 matches is 192. So it's gone up drastically from the mid 150s when chasing had an advantage, which means teams are putting up scores closer to 200 batting first and then defending them through quality pace and through quality spin.
Right.
Therefore, I'm not surprised Rishabh Pant decided to chase, because Delhi, I think, have more confidence in their batting than their bowling. So you want to chase a target down, rather defend. And he still thinks there is due. So clearly, that is the reason. But you know, Wankhede is it's not a very big ground. Right. It's not as short as Brabourne, but it's not a very big ground. So it's going to be an interesting contest. Yeah.
Also, if you just look at how their campaigns have gone so far, we'll talk about Delhi Capitals as well as Kolkata Knight Riders. Let's first talk about Kolkata Knight Riders. Like we said, began well, won 3 out of their first 4 matches. But from there on, things have changed for them, Nikhil. How important is it right now for for Kolkata Knight Riders to find a settled playing 11? Because you are getting to the business end of the tournament. They've tried everything with their openers not having worked out. And if we could put those numbers up, just the dramatic reversal of fortunes for Kolkata Knight Rider. And I wonder, that, how long can they go on with this? Because now you're getting to the business end of the tournament. Take a look at this, how things have changed. And Shreyas Iyer said that at the toss as well, that they want to look for the settled 11. They haven't found one.
Absolutely. I think there was also a touch of arrogance, with their all-out aggressive policy, this propagated by Brendan McCullum. The policy, yes, helped them reach the final last year against all expectation. And when they won 3 of their first 4 matches, their team, I think there was a bit of overconfidence that they will follow this rigid policy of all-out attack, etc., in the batting and bowling. I think that's where, they've paid heavily for. Also, some of the, for me, too, the reason for KKR's debacle this season in the last 5 matches for them, has been the form of the two key players. Venkatesh Iyer, because he's been pushed down the order, they have not stuck to a role for him, and Varun Chakravarti, who has been dropped, which also sort of, the mystery spinner has been dropped. And Varun Chakravarti was the hero last couple of seasons, the highest wicket taker last season. Varun Chakravarti, I hope he's not going the same Kuldeep Yadav way. So this is going to be very interesting how his future pans out for KKR now.
Okay, then that was for Kolkata Knight Riders, but for Delhi Capitals, there have been inconsistencies. There have been times when Delhi Capitals have played so well, like the match against Punjab Kings. How well did their bowlers bowl? It was a fantastic game, but there have also been times when they haven't been able to do well. The thing that stands out, Nikhil, for Delhi Capitals, though, is these two. These two, and again, if Delhi wants to go on till the end, these two still have to just continue doing what they are doing. It's so important with the middle order not firing.
Absolutely. That run rate of 10 plus in the power play basically means they're scoring 60 plus in every game on an average when they've scored those, in those 450 plus stands. And that is a very high, run rate to maintain consistently in the first 10 overs, especially in a tournament, Meha, where power play teams have been cautious. So DC has been one team which has defied the norm, and they have gone all out. Teams have the average power play run rate is 7.17, if I correctly remember. DC is batting at 10 plus. So that is how good and special are Warner and Shaw. But they need more. They need Akshar Patel. I think he is key. They need Akshar Patel. If he's not picking wickets, don't concede runs. He needs to give a 4 over 20, 4 over 24 performance for the next 3 matches. Shardul Thakur.
Okay. Just before we continue this conversation, Aaron Finch is opening with Venkatesh Iyer. So they've brought back Venkatesh Iyer at the top of the order. The other thing being, Mustafizur Rahman takes a new ball. The other thing being, Nikhil, that if you look at the stats, I was just seeing this, KKR have already made 13 changes to their playing 11 so far. That's the most by any team. And that just goes on to show how unsettled they've been. They do not know what to do with their openers. They've tried different bowling combinations. They've also got a problem with who their wicket keeper would be. So things, there is that problem of finding the balance, right? Balance in the side.
And when you make so many changes, try 4 different combinations for 4 different matches, then no one knows their role. Venkatesh Iyer doesn't know his role. Sunil Narine doesn't know his role. No one knows their role. Even Shreyas Iyer is confused what he has to do. Does he anchor the innings? Does he come and attack? And that has been the problem. You need, even if you're losing, you need to sort of give the players you trust a longer run.
So that's right. Venkatesh Iyer at the top for all of you who wanted Venkatesh Iyer to open the innings. He's back at the top with Aaron Finch. Now, Aaron Finch, actually, the match that he played, he scored a 50 the last match and has been striking the ball well. But they need to. The top order needs to be more stable. The top order also, for that to happen, also needs to score runs. So very important here that these two get good scores.
Absolutely. Finch and Venkatesh Iyer have to give them a good start so that there's less pressure on Shreyas Iyer and Andre Russell in the death overs. The opening partnership of KKR has scored the lowest runs. The openers have scored the lowest runs, and that tells a story. They have to reverse their fortunes from this match, because if they lose this match, they'll be languishing with MI and CSK at the bottom 3.
Which is what we've been saying. In fact, News9 Sports is what you need to subscribe to. We've also put the link in the description box below, so you don't have to really work hard to even go and look for the link. It's right there. So please do subscribe to News9 Sports, before we go any further. Like we said, Aaron Finch and Venkatesh Iyer, they are in the middle. Mustafizur Rahman is bowling the first over. Interesting. Also, what's interesting is batting first, you need to get a big score. We have also seen that, especially in the last match as well. Slightly slower. Nikhil, do you see pitches getting slower now?
They will get slower because the summer is on. Which wickets will get slower. The spinners will come into play. But the average first inning score the last 5 matches has been 192. So, I think, so they need, and Delhi has a, at least on paper, Shaw, Warner, Pant, Marsh. So, a very formidable top 4. So, I think they need at least a 180 plus total.
Okay, and there've already been one appeal, well, half appeal. Looked, from what I can see, that it looked plump, but it was half appeal, and then probably a ball hitting both pad and bat. So yes, anyway, so that's it then on this special from Nikhil and me. And do subscribe to News 9 Sports, and goodbye for now.